Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Mr. Miller's Art Room. Today, we are going to be working on a very special painting project. We're going to be utilizing Crayola watercolor packs to create something called a gradient.
Mr. Miller, what is a gradient?
A gradient is when colors on a paper or a canvas transition or change from one color to another color in a very smooth and even way. We can utilize gradients in all kinds of pictures. We could use gradients to show a rainbow. We could use gradients to show one color of a shirt to another color of a shirt. Or in our case, we are going to utilize gradients in order to create a silhouette landscape.
Mr. Miller, you're using such big words. Silhouette? Landscape?
Many of you have heard me talk about landscapes before, and we've made them in our class. Landscapes are pictures of the world around us, typically of places outside. However, a silhouette is a little bit more tough to understand. A silhouette is what a shape looks like when it's completely dark and in shadow. One silhouette might be of somebody's face. Another silhouette might be that of a fork. And the third silhouette, Mr. Monocle, I'm going to let you guess. Can you tell me what you think this might be a silhouette of?
Well, I'd say, taking a good look at it, it must be a tree.
That's correct. It is a tree. This is a silhouette of a tree, and that's just what we're going to create. But before we get to create our silhouette, we're going to need to utilize our watercolor in order to create a gradient. Now, you can create a gradient out of any of these colors. We're going to utilize at least 3 different colors, but you can make gradients out of all of these colors. Mr. Monocle, I'd like you to choose 3 of these colors that we're going to utilize to create a gradient.
Well, I'd say yellow, orange, and red.
Now, Mr. Monocle,
Yes?
if our students wanted to try some other colors, could they choose different colors to create a gradient?
Absolutely.
Step 1, kind of swish your brush in here a little bit because we share brushes in our classrooms, so you want to make sure that your brush is cleaned out and has some water ready to go. We're going to start with yellow. We're going to swirl around in the color a little bit. Don't take too long. About 10 seconds or so is just enough to get enough color on there. Now, when we do this, what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and go horizontally this time. You could go vertical, but I'm going horizontal to start. And I'm going to go make a horizontal bar of color just like this and let it dry up. As you continue to paint, your brush will start to get dry and the color will start to get a little bit lighter. I'm going to do a quick dip, go back to my yellow. Once it's already wet, you can go ahead and just dip it for a little less time because there's already plenty of color there. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that's fully colored from one edge of the paper to the next edge of the paper. Now I'm ready for the next color. I don't want to wait too long so that it dries up because when we're making gradients, we want our colors to smoothly transition from one color to the next. I'm going to rinse my brush out, then I'm going to go to the next color that Mr. Monocle mentioned, which was orange. I'm going to dip, 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 dip-a-da-doo, dip, dip, dip-a-da-doo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start over here and I'm going to go into the other color a little bit. Notice that it's creating a sort of smooth transition from yellow to orange. And you can actually move it around a little bit. That's one of the cool things about watercolor. If it's still wet, you can kind of move it around a little bit. Now I'm going to go back to the orange, and I want to make the orange a little bit more saturated, or sometimes referred to as darker. It's not really darker. There's just more orange on my brush, and I'm going to get a little bit more. If you're in the middle of painting and you find that you just need a little bit more of that color, you go ahead and get it. I'm going to let that come up here a little bit. Now I know the next color I'm going to do is red, but you see how it's not very smooth down here? What I'm going to do is rinse my brush out completely. Tap, tap, tap. Very light taps. Then I'm just going to use that water to kind of smooth out that transition, that gradient.
Everyone say gradient. Very good.
And then I'm going to go to red. I'm going to come over here, get some red. Mix, 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 mix. And I'm going to paint. Dip, spin, and paint. Now remember, we're going to want to make sure, there we go, we want to make sure there's a nice smooth gradient transition from one color to the next. And boy, oh boy, am I happy with that. Now, once you're done with this, you're going to set this aside, and we're going to try and practice with 3 other colors. After this video is done, please stay tuned for part 2 when we start utilizing some of these papers to create our silhouette landscapes. Thank you all very much, and for Mr. Monocle and I say good day.
We said good day.